welcome to Squares, Square Roots, Cubes and Cube Roots with Cubit Education. So this is just an extra lecture based on the one that you've just seen in this same section, just going into a little bit more detail. So in this mini lecture, you'll recap square numbers and square roots and how to use them, and recap cube numbers and cube roots and how to use them in a bit more detail as well. So squaring numbers. So here's an example of the squared numbers that we looked at before. 1 times 1 is 1, 2 times 2 is 4, 3 times 3 is 9, etc. Now in this case, these are just ordinary numbers that we should know the answers to. We should know these squared numbers here. Our answers are the square numbers, okay? But sometimes you might be asked to square a different number, such as 7.5. Now in this case, we can use a calculator, and you will need a scientific calculator for your exam. Now, if we're going to use a calculator, what we need to do is we need to put in 7.5 in our calculator, and then we need to click this button just here. This button will square the number for you, and then if you press equals, you'll get your answer, 56.25, okay? So it's nice and easy to use your calculator. So let's have a look at this one. This one says 7, and this is to the power of 5. So it's okay saying that we're going to square and cube numbers using 2's and 3's, but you might be asked to work out the number to a power of something else. So you might have 7 to the power of 5. Now that just means 7 times 7 times 7 times 7 times 7. Just as 7 squared means 7 times 7, the little 2 represents that there are 2 7's. And here the little 5 means that there are 5 7's. Now that might be quite tricky to work out, so again we're going to use our calculator. So we put 7 on our calculator, and this time we click this button with the little box next to it. And once we've clicked that button, it will bring up a box in your calculator, and then you can click the number 5. Once you press equals, it will give you an answer. Now sometimes it might say 7.7 to the power of 5 as your answer. And I'll show you what to do when that happens in a second. So this is our answer, 16,807. So pause the video and just have a go at using your calculator to find the answers to these questions. Okay, once you've paused the video, let's go through the answers. So 256 is our answer for this one. 1,679,616, and 8 to the power of 6 is 262,144. Okay, so let's look now in a little bit more detail. So what if I wanted to square root a number? So this is the opposite of squaring. So if I wanted to find the square root of 38, I would take out my calculator and I would put in the number 38, but I would press this button first. So I need to click this button where it's got the square root sign and then a little box underneath it. And then I press 38. And that will bring up my square root of 38 in the calculator. If I press equals, it might just continue to be the square root of 38, and that's when I need to press this button here. So if you get nothing for an answer and it just comes up like this, if you press this SD button, it will give you an answer, giving us 6.164414003. So let's just round that up to 6.16 to 2 decimal places. Okay. So have a go at finding the square roots of these numbers and see what you get as your answers. They're not going to be easy to square root, they're not square numbers, which means there's not going to be an overall answer for them. Okay, so if you pause the video and had a go, the square root of 27 is 5.2 to 1 decimal place. As you can see, I've put the long number that you got on your calculator and then I've rounded it. Okay, so this 1 becomes a 2 because there's a 9 there. Okay, there is a video on place value and rounding. The square root of 40 is 6.32 to 2 decimal places, and the square root of 78 is 8.83 to 2 decimal places. So well done if you got those right, and you are well on your way to being able to use your calculator for your exams. Okay, so don't forget the basic ones that you can do in your head, the ones that I told you to learn for the last video. So the square root of 16 is 4, the square root of 25 is 5, the square root of 49 is 7, the square root of 144 is 12, the square root of 36 is 6, the square root of 64 is 8, the square root of 81 is 9, the square root of 100 is 10, and the square root of 121 is 11. So they're the ones that you need to learn. For anything else, you can use your calculator. So let's move on to cubing numbers with a calculator now. So here's an example of the cube numbers we looked at in the previous video. 1 times 1 times 1 is 1, 2 times 2 times 2 is 8. So cubing numbers means that there are 3 numbers to be multiplied, 3 of the same number. So let's say we want to cube 7.5. Let's take out our calculator. Now in this case, we'll put 7.5. Sorry, did I say cube 3.5? I'm not sure. If we want to cube 7.5, we put 7.5 in our calculator, and then what we do is we press this button here. This will cube your number, and that will bring up 3. Okay, so you can press equals and get your answer, 421.875. Okay, so we've cubed a number now, so here we cubed it, we times 7.5 by 7.5 times 7.5. But what if we want to do the opposite now? We want to cube root a number. So let's say I want to cube root 38. So I take my calculator. Now this time, when I'm cube rooting, this was the one we used before when we square rooted. But as you can see, there's a little orange like drawing here, and that is actually the cube root drawing with a box. Now to get that, you need to press shift first, and then you press this button, and the cube root sign will come up for you. You then need to put your 38 into your calculator and press equals. And if you press equals and it stays like this, again, don't forget to press this SD button, and you'll come up with your answer of 3.3619754068. And we can round that to 3.36 to 2 decimal places. Okay, so have a go at cubing the following numbers, and pause the video and have a go, and then I will go through the answers once you've tried it. Okay, if you've paused the video, then let's go through some answers. So we have the cube root of 29, okay, 3.1 to 1 decimal place. The cube root of 40, 3.4 to 1 decimal place, and the cube root of 78 is 4.3 to 1 decimal place. So again, don't forget the ones that you should know in your head, okay? So the cube root of 64 is 4, the cube root of 125 is 5, the cube root of 343 is 7, the cube root of 27 is 3, the cube root of 8 is 2, the cube root of 216 is 6, the cube root of 729 is 9, the cube root of 1000 is 10, and the cube root of 512 is 8. They're the ones I need you to remember, ready for your non-calculator exams, but anything other than that, you can use a calculator for. So have a final go at, working out these to the power of these different numbers. So 5 to the power of 8, so don't forget the buttons on your calculator that you need to use in order to work out 5 to the power of 8, 2 to the power of 6, and so on. Okay, so if you've paused the video and had a go, here's the answers. Okay, so don't forget to put your number in your calculator and click the button, the X button with the little square next to it, and then you can put your numbers in. Okay, now the final thing I want to mention is that if we have a number like this, like 4 to the power of 8, it means that we are multiplying 4 by itself 8 times. Okay, and it gives us this number here, 65,536. Now the opposite of the 8th power, okay, to the power of 8, is the 8th root. Okay, so we can actually do it like this and put that number in there, and the answer would be 4 if we put that in our calculator. So you can find the cube or the square root of anything, or you can find the 8th root of something, or you can multiply something, like so 4 to the power of 8, for example. You can do anything like that with any number as long as you know how to use your calculator. Okay, so there will be a quiz at the end of these lectures, as well as some extra reading in case you misunderstood anything. And thank you very much for using Cubits Education, and I will see you soon.